Hello everyone, this is Adam Stewart from stewartmedicine.com. I'm here to show you today some exciting new tools in a project I've been working on to help organize the workflow of antenatal care using EMR tools. Specifically Practice Solutions or Telus EMR. If you're like me, when a patient first comes in newly pregnant, there are a lot of dates and mental chaos of all the tests that have to get organized and so forth. So the EMR can help really organize this workflow, and I'm going to show you some tools here. So here is a fake patient chart, 26-year-old healthy female, and let's say they've come in today, March the 15th is today's date that I'm recording this, but the staff have already entered her blood pressure and weight, and let's say that the concern is she pregnant? And they've written in that the urine dip was actually positive. So what I've done is I built a toolbar that kicks in even if today's visit note contains keywords such as pregnant or even the diagnostic code 650. So if I actually, in the top right hand corner there's a check-in or check out the chart, but if I save this chart, what'll happen is you'll see a toolbar pop up that wasn't there before, and it's my pregnancy toolbar. Now at this point there's a lot of, this is a fresh chart, there's not much filled in here, but I'll show you along the way on how this gets populated and the tools that are beneath it. So right away there is an option here in the drop down menu that for Encounter Assistant EA Initial Pregnancy. So if I click that, and I'm just going to go up here now, and there's a few quick documentations. This is a tool that will update the patient profile with my coding pregnant 650. It'll insert it right up there automatically, and that's important because future reminders will feed off that while the patient's pregnant. So let's just say it's a typical pregnancy, cycles are regular, 28 days. Last normal menstrual period was January 1st of 17. Let's say she's certain about her dates. Now here's an important step that I've used a custom form to actually mark the last normal menstrual period, and this is important for tracking EMR reminders that will pop up during pregnancy for things like tests that are due. Now there's not a very good way to track and add dates within EMR at this point, but this is a kind of a workaround that I've found. So if I click this, what it does is it inserts this kind of small custom form, and it's kind of self-explanatory. Insert and date this custom form corresponding to the date of the last normal menstrual period. Antenatal reminders will feed off this form. Use only once per pregnancy. We're using this as a starting point for the pregnancy. So I'm going to change the date to correspond to the last normal menstrual period, which she's noted to be January the 1st, 17. And you'll see that this goes up here. And from there on, you won't see that again, but it's important because EMR reminders and things like that will feed off of this. So let's say that this is her second pregnancy. The first one went to term, no premature, no miscarriages, and she has one living pregnancy. So now there's a few other things to go through. I would say, yes, I gave my standard prenatal package. Yes, I'm going to order some prenatal labs, and I can even insert a lab rec right here using this button. I'm just going to collapse the patient profile, but I'll show you that I even have some buttons built for the pre-populate pregnancy labs. So you can see that those just automatically populated right there. Then let's say she wasn't certain on her dates or something that, let's just change that to she wasn't certain on her dates, so we do maybe need to order a dating ultrasound. So I have my local ultrasound requisition here, right at my fingertips with a button. And I'm going to show you, go into this in a little bit later, but I've made buttons here that we'll show you later. But just to show you that capability is there right at your fingertips. Then let's say she does want IPS-1, and then there's a button to insert the requisition for the IPS screening as well. I'll show you that in a second. And let's say there's some prenatal programs and standard follow-up. And let's even say that we talked about, yes, she's taking folate. So I'm going to put that in her medication list. This item here will automatically populate her medication medication list, as we'll see when I'm done. And let's say she's not having nausea, vomiting. Let's say she is having some nausea, vomiting. We need to prescribe some diclectin. So this button will just prescribe diclectin. Now, one final thing here is, before I click finish, is insert important dates custom form. Now again, the EMR is limited, but I have made some workarounds, and I've made a custom form that tracks important dates, such as, gestational age at 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks, etc., that the EMR can then easily feed off of. So this is so we're going to insert this form, and I'm going to come back to this later when I close this, but I'll show you, I've got some important dates that I use through a pregnancy, and I'll show you that in a second here. So let's collapse this lab requisition, and now we're going to finish. So what this done is, as the encounter system closes, I've got some pre-populated favorite prescriptions for antenatal, vitamin, and diclectin, and we can even post that or fax it to the chart or whatever we need to do. So once that encounter assistant's finished, you can see that now we've got the medications already there, as well as pregnant 650. Now that's important, because as long as the patient's pregnant, I'm going to keep that in the patient's CPP, and EMR reminders and tools, and even the toolbar is going to feed off of that. When the pregnancy is complete, I would delete this line from the active problem list, and the toolbar would disappear, and all the reminders and stuff would no longer be applicable as well. So let's go forward, and we're going to put in we can from here put in use the EMR to insert a gestational age, the standard gestational age stamp. So let's use that. And January, let's say this is going to be the first day of the first month, and it's 2017. And this is great, but the problem is you can only access these dates when you're actively in this stamp. And what's more is you can't even type over in the chart. So it's kind of, unfortunately, useless in this respect. But I've got a workaround that I'll show you on how we can use that. So let's at least stamp that in the chart. So we've got that started, last normal menstrual period and things like that. But the problem is the EMR isn't recognizing these variables as we go along as standard vitals or standard data points. So I've made this custom form to recognize them. Now, one easy way that I work around, you could go in and write those dates down and write them into the corresponding fields here. But what I've done as maybe an aside that some people might find helpful is I've made a little Excel template that I can save to my desktop, and I'll just bring that over into the screenshot here. And by entering the one date, the prenatal last normal menstrual period date, it'll automatically populate the estimated date of the estimated due date and all these special gestational weeks. And that's just a simple Excel sheet that easily adds math. And so when I go here, I'll just drag this out of the view again. But you can see that these dates I can then correspondingly just quickly enter while my Excel sheet is open. You can't see it in the current screenshot, but it's there. And so I know this seems a little bit cumbersome, but the way I've set this up is this is the first and only time throughout the pregnancy you'll ever have to enter the dates from this point forward. And I'll show April 23rd. And so from there, what I would do is just kind of close this template and not save it. I mean, because I just want to leave it blank so I don't save to my desktop. But from there, all of the EMR now will start feeding off these important dates. For example, well, we've already seen this date populate, January the 1st, 2017. Actually, this one here is just linking. If you clicking that feeds you back to, it tracks this form, so we can know that that is the date. But let's say that we've gone forward and confirm with let's just in the future that the date is after an ultrasound that the final due date is October the 8th and hasn't changed. When we refresh the chart, you can see that up here this starts to populate and things like that. Now we're at the 10-minute mark now. I'm going to break this project up into a few different video sets. So I'm going to end part 1 here, and then I'm going to come back and we will resume with part 2.